Our last speaker, Gaurav Singh, and he is committed to independent thought, civic engagement, expansive education, good governance, and accountability. One of the awesome things that he's done is he's been involved with the FBI, TSA, and the police in efforts to educate them about Sikhism and who we are, so that they can identify what these terms of people, that they're Sikhs, they're not trying to threaten anyone. Here's our uniform and here's our core values, so that there's just mutual respect both ways, because just to prevent things that could go wrong. Currently, he's close to completing his first book, and it's called An Exploration of a Blissful Living. Gaurav Singh.
Good afternoon. So, has it been kind of long, or do you think you got a little bit of a second wind with all that interactive engagement? We good? Yeah. All right. So Jasveer, my sister, was saying that she didn't do justice, and I think it's hard to ever do justice to something that is so powerful that it touches the lives of millions every single day. So let me do what I can not to ruin it. We covered a lot of ground. What I shall, in the next few minutes, in the short time that I have, do my best is to cover certain facets of Sikhi, which is the path, the path of enlightened seekers, who move of their volition, not because they are born into a faith, because I don't think anyone ever is. You choose your faith. And so these conscious seekers, their path is Sikhi. And what I'll do my best, is to talk to you about what that means right here, right now. So we've kind of got a structure where to think from. And I shall do so in the truth-telling tradition of Sikhi, the Sikh spirit. That is especially true because we are here at a library, which is very dear to me. And as you know, we go to schools to study, but the library is the place that you come for your research. And when you come, you are open. And you don't know what you'll find, right? So some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today, they might be a little push. I want you to please play with it and just engage. So you may find that Sikhs share with the repeated immigrant experience that constitutes being American in the 21st century. And there is much that Sikhs offer to continue to enrich our American mosaic. And being American, of course, that is a contested notion. And what I mean by that is that there is a constant push and pull going on in the label of being American and patriotic, and we come up against that all the time. But we have that as Sikhs on the both ends of it, and I shall get to that in a few minutes. But first, there are a few things to go over. Sikhs are not a race. People from all over the world, of all backgrounds, all economic, social strata, choose to be Sikhs, whether they are of a faith or of no faith. I want to correct something that you read earlier. It's not that there is no conversion. Of course there is conversion. People convert themselves. Otherwise we wouldn't be around. Our forebears, our forefathers chose this path. So people convert. But we do not actively go out to convert people. That is true. We come from the land of Punjab, the land of 5 rivers, which straddles Pakistan and India. That is also important. I don't know if you're aware, but there have been 4 wars between India and Pakistan. And that we have the British to thank for that, for creating those boundaries. And the legacy of the Second World War. A lot of the conflict going on in Africa today, going on all over the world, is because of lines that were drawn without much forethought. In fact, Iraq is a great example. But I don't want to digress. So when I say that Sikhs have a lot in common with the American experience, I mean that literally. Like North Americans, Punjab, where most Sikhs, not all, originate, was the land that has for millennia suffered the onslaught of invaders and traders from Central and East Asia, as well as from the Middle East and Europe. Like Native Americans, Punjabis and Sikhs have sustained the brunt of forced immigration. In fact, I would not be stretching the truth if I were to say that the strength, the resilience, and the beauty of Sikhs and of Sikhi are inspired and born of this clash of humanity. Great suffering can also bring out great compassion and love. Well, it definitely did that for Sikhs and Sikhi. Meeting of cultures is seldom benign. So, where North America's natives suffered immeasurably, and we are aware, although we don't give enough due to that, I think, in our daily lives, at the hands of Europeans, Punjabis suffered at the hands of invaders like the Aryans of Central Europe, as well as Alexander of Macedon, Alexander the Great to some. And for almost a millennium, under Mughals ranging from Turkey to Mongolia. And 500 years ago, this clash of cultures, of religions and languages gave rise to a revolutionary movement of human creativity and endeavor by a giant among men, and we refer to him, Nanak, and we lovingly call him Guru, the dispeller of our darkness, our enlightener. That today you find Sikhs in every corner of the globe should come as no surprise, because Sikhs have also been go-getters on the flip side of the immigration saga. Now, driven by a core of seeing one in all, and infused with the spirit of risk, of hard work, honest labor, and sharing the fruits of your honest labor with those that need it. That is a part of our selfless service. And Sikhs made their way into the US at the turn of the 20th century, 1899 to be exact, in San Francisco. So while working in Washington state on railways and lumber mills, Sikhs suffered their first attack just 2 years in, when 600 lumberjacks attacked 250 Sikh mill workers, burning their belongings, providing ample beatings, and herding them to city jail. Newspapers spoke of, quote, dusky aliens with turbans of every color of the rainbow. But they sympathized with the desire to rid the country of Asians. This happened at a time of great anti-Asian sentiment in the country. Now, what's interesting is that these white lumberjacks were themselves immigrants. They were also looking for a better life. And I guess some trends persist. When immigrants resent other immigrants in a nation full of immigrants, none of whom were invited. So real estate brokers vowed not to sell property to Hindus and Negroes. Further down south in sunny California, Sikhs were invited as ragheads. Legally barred from owning property, and even barring wives of Sikh workers from immigrating. It was a brutal choice for many to lay down roots, but that is exactly what they did. Now, the statutes were enacted in 1790, allowing free white people to own property. African Americans got that only after the Civil War, and by exception. Bhagat Singh Thind, we remember him very fondly. A naturalized immigrant became the first dastar-wearing man to fight in the First World War for the United States. He was a volunteer. He had his citizenship revoked, not once, but twice, in a case that went to the Supreme Court. Race was the basis for denaturalizing Sikhs and taking away their legal property. And as I told you, Sikhi is not based on race. So that's a funny, there's an irony to that, right? I don't even know if I can comprehend that. But yet, Sikhs, in the meantime, They went on to build a 700-mile road stretching from Oakland, California to Salt Lake City, Utah. Not an easy road to build. Building bridges and tunnels. And that also is a trend that has continued for Sikhs, is building bridges and, when necessary, tunnels. So back in Punjab, many Sikhs came from an agricultural background, and, as you know, with the British, the armed forces. But in the 60s, things started to change. The needs for the country were changing. So doors were opened up to a lot of highly educated people. And that brought in a very different demographic for Sikhs and different talent to this country. So what did that look like? In a country, by the way, where Sikhs at that time were not allowed to be married prior to that, to American women. There was a subculture that came out. I just quickly want to mention this, I don't want to digress, but a Sikh Mexican identity, a subculture that is now 100 years old. It started around that time. But coming up to the 60s again, what came of it? In opening up these doors a tad, it really brought in people like Sardar Narinder Singh Kapani, who immigrated from England. He had his doctorate, and he started many businesses. He is known as the father of fiber optics. Contributed massively. Only recently was he recognized in Fortune magazine's issue called Businessman of the Century as one of 7 unsung heroes. It would be a mistake to overlook the significance of what I've just shared with you, especially in light of the current toxic debate on immigration and how we treat immigrants. In fact, I am not the first to say this, and I'm definitely not the brightest person to say this. The following statements are going to be provocative, so that, however, does not make them untrue and unworthy of being considered by us. So these quotes are from Michio Kaku, Dr. Michio Kaku, who is one of the world's most respected theoretical physicists. And after Carl Sagan, and right now with Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's one of the more popularizers of science. He says, quote, "The United States has the worst education system known to science." Left only to US graduates, the scientific establishment and tech economy would collapse. Forget about Google, he says. Forget about Silicon Valley. There would be no Silicon Valley. Our country's economy thrives because of immigrants and non-immigrants, many on H-1B visas, like some brothers and sisters that I have in this room, which he calls America's secret weapon, the genius visa. He went on to warn us that at this time, this secret weapon, rather than being used by us, is pointed straight at us. Dr. Kaku may be my favorite theoretical physicist, but keeping it home, closer to home, my personal favorite theoretical physicist happens to be my cousin, Dr. Savdeep Singh Sethi, who teaches at the University of Chicago, where he was the youngest professor. He teaches string theory, which probably there's a dozen people in the world who understands what he's talking about. I can't say that I do, but I would love to. But he himself immigrated here from England and speaks with a wonderful British accent. By the way, what I've shared with you in no way denies or disregards the legitimate concerns that many have about the abuse of H-1B visas by US and non-US based companies exploiting labor. And I'm aware that in the short term we're not addressing the overhaul of education to which Americans have access. For instance, our library could and should be a fantastic resource and a solution to supplement the rigor and rejuvenation we need in a system of learning and education. Today, Sikhs in America are an energetic community with a strong sense of public service. We are all over, not just on the East Coast and the West Coast. We are in Chicago, right? In Dallas, San Antonio, Oklahoma City. I didn't know that, by the way. Research showed me that. We are providing meals and refuge to anyone who needs it anywhere in the world. There's over 500,000 Sikhs in the United States today. There's a little bit of a caution that I want to give. You've heard about us serving in the armed forces, and that is something that the Sikhs have been respected for over a century. But there is, among the people in our community, some trepidation with that. Because we are a principle-based community, and we would never wish our martial leanings and talents to be misused in the service of an empire expansionist or sustaining agenda, like the British did. Yes, both benefited to some extent, but we would not want to see that again and again as we are engaged. And I'm very engaged with the FBI and other law enforcement agencies, and I will continue to do so because it is critical. But let's keep that in mind. The Sikh heritage of truth, justice, freedom, and respect for all other faiths is consistent with American traditions articulated so well by Franklin Roosevelt as freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. But in all fairness, this Sikh heritage of truth, justice, freedom, and mutual respect are not yet continuing traditions in America. Rather, they remain aspirations in the experience of racial minorities and of Sikhs, Muslims, and others who are vilified. Since Sikhs in the United States continue to face, but continually, peacefully overcoming attacks on our identity and practices, starting with policy, but down to school bullying, employment discrimination, and murder. Many among you know what happened 4 years ago when 6 people were massacred in Oak Creek. And many of our community were there, including my sister, who just spoke with you. But you may not know about Surinder Singh and Gurmeet Atwal, who were killed a year prior to that in Sacramento. Yet Sikhs are an integral thread in the fabric of this diverse America. That is our strength. And that was recognized by Governor Jerry Brown when he marked the 100-year anniversary. I will conclude now with, again, coming back to Seva, the selfless service. That is a core Sikh tenet. And being active in social, cultural, and both political and non-political spheres is our responsibility. So I want to let you know, I'm not just talking about it. I'm here to do my part, and I want to let you, my community, know that in the upcoming elections in April, I am standing to serve our library because this is an institution that already does a great job. But I hope that I can contribute to elevate and open an engagement that enriches our wider community. So I hope if I have your trust to serve you as a trustee coming up. Thank you very much, and invite you to join us.